What is going on? Yo, yo, yo. Okay. Can you guys hear me? All right. We are live. Let me see if I can get this camera on. Which I thought was on. Okay. We are officially live. We are live. We're donando. Do. All right. Who's all in the house? I saw John. John and there, Will. Always good seeing you. 11 people already. Damn. Okay. All right. So we missed, I think, a week. So it makes sense. If we can get 15 people in here, then we'll go ahead and begin. Okay. If we get 15 people, we'll go ahead and begin. There, Will, and there, Will, and there, Will. All right. For those who don't know, my name is Derek O'Fodder. I'm the host here at the Medicine Show. This discussion is about Odinala and Igbo, which is Igbo ancestral spirituality, cosmology, and thought. Boma, there, Will. Good seeing you. Why? Well, who restricted his message? Who restricted his message? Oh, you retract. Okay, all right. But yeah, there will no, there will yes, there will Boma. Like I said, my name is Derek O'Fodder. This is the Medicine Show. I teach ancestral spirituality, philosophy, and thought. This is Ask Me Almost Anything. As long as you ask me the questions, we can keep hanging out and keep this thing going. Once you guys run out of questions, I go to bed. But hold on, I think. Okay. Yeah, once you guys are out of questions, I run out. Once we get 15 people in here, we'll go ahead and begin. For those of you who are new, the best way to support the movement is by joining the Patreon at patreon.com/the medicine shell. It should be tagged. The fact that it's tagged at the top of the chat. If you've been watching the videos for a while or you like the Ask Me Anythings, go ahead and join the Patreon. We got a whole lot more there. I have a full library, like where I do my research and things like that. It's over 300 books, documents, things like that, on different topics. I was just reading the book in there about astral projection, so that was a really interesting book. And if you're already on Patreon, if you're already part of the village and you want to know what I'm talking about, message me and I'll send you the link for it. You also get the full ancestral calendar. For those who don't know, our ancestors did not use a 7-day calendar. We used a 4-day calendar, with each day having spiritual significance. Also, one of your spiritual names, one of your names before you had a name, right, is either Eke, Urie, Afo, or Onkwo, because these are the 4 days that we enter the world, the 4 pathways we enter the world, the 4 rivers that we sail in and out of existence with, right? And so knowing your day is significant and it means a lot. So the patrons get the calendar, which links the day, like it basically shows you which market day it is on the calendar and what observances are done in Odinala, which is ancestral spirituality, as well as what moon. Onwa Okike is the next moon coming up. We have a new moon coming up in probably less than a week, but I'll have to double check. So, Emeka, good seeing you. Just spread your account to some Igbo women who are not aware of Odinala somehow. I'm dedicated to recruitment. Oh, I appreciate that, Matt. Yeah. Send this to whoever you think would be interested in all the topics we talk about here. I strongly suspect YouTube does not naturally organically push my stuff. I strongly suspect YouTube does not organically push my stuff, but it's all good. I have the best community in YouTube history. And so, I mean, it's beyond YouTube at this point, right? But I have the best community in YouTube history. So if that was their plan, then they failed. But either way, yeah, send this to somebody who you think would be interested. A lot of people are waking up. A lot of people are looking in this direction. And so I made this channel in anticipation for this moment, and the moment's here. So I'm here for that. So John says he say. All right. So once we get 15 people in here, we'll go ahead and begin. Take this link, share it, put it in the group chat, share it in the WhatsApp, share it wherever you see people who may be interested in the topics we talk about. So, If I'm looking kind of out of it, I'm teaching a lot of classes right now. So this has been a very long day for me. But I mean, it's a long day of me doing what I want to do and what I like doing and what you guys have given me the capacity to do. So I thank you guys and I'm thankful for it. But either way, I'm only one human being. Okay, who's home? I'm live. Oh, don't say nothing crazy. Yeah. So yeah, and there will no, and there will. Who is all in the house? So we have Boma, we have Emeka, we have John. Who else is in the house? Yeah, probably. We'll see. I don't want to sleep too good, but yeah, probably. So I got to drop the kids off at school in the morning. So I slept too good the day before, and my son ended up being late, so that was my bad. They wonder if we don't get 15, I might just go ahead and wrap it up though, right? If we don't get 15 people in here, I might we go ahead and just wrap it up. Or let's do this. If we can get 10, if we get 10 people, we'll go ahead and begin. Okay. This may be a false alarm live. Hi, Daddy. Hey, Kaba, what's up? I was trying to sleep in the car, but I didn't get it. Oh, okay. Well, you're here now with the beds, so there will. All right, let's see. Anyways, like I was saying, so yeah, I've been teaching the traditional medicine class that we have. We have a traditional medicine class for those of you who are interested in becoming a DBI. And in the traditional medicine class, we're having a really good conversation about Uwa Agon, right? So if you guys want to talk about that today, we can talk a little bit about it. We won't go probably as in depth as the class. But yeah, we had a really good conversation about that. All of the different forces and beings that are a part of Uwa Agon. Uwa Agon is the world of Agon, right? So Agon is a being. Agon is both masculine and feminine. And then if something is feminine, it means that it's also a world, right? All feminine entities are also a world unto themselves that things can live within and on and so forth. So just like Allah is a world, which is earth we live in, mirroring water is a world, that kind of thing. The 4 days, Eke Ori Afon, are worlds, or spaces that can be occupied, and Agon is as well. So that was a really good conversation. And then those of you who are on Patreon, the replay from the group study this weekend is up now. So Odema. Ndewo, is Odinani a form of shamanism like Chinese Taoism? I'm definitely going to answer that question. I think that's going to be the first question I answer. We got to get 10 people in here first before we begin, though. Okay. So if you can grab this link and send this off to whomever you can send it off to, post it in whatever family group chat that you can harass people with, then do that. Okay. Instagram, whatever. I don't even know. I don't even use Instagram anymore. But yeah, I like TikTok though, but I also don't like TikTok. So I'm tired of social media. If it ain't about the money, please blow me up. I like your name, man. I like your name. Once we get 3 more people in here, we'll go ahead and begin. This is Ask Me Anything, though we do talk about Odinala, Igbo spirituality. Um, People ask me all kinds of stuff, and I'm game to answer. But it is called Ask Me Almost Anything. So if you cross that line, you have to put that delete, click that delete button on you, right? For example, I mean, I'm getting asked a lot about what's going on in Sudan. I made a video on TikTok about it and kind of got all over the place. Like, a lot of people saw it, and so I got asked to come to do an interview with like a podcast, and so that hopefully that'll be up soon. It's kind of on them, but that hopefully that'll be up by the end of the month. But it's on their schedule, so we'll see. Just talking about what's going on in Sudan. So yeah, I'm open to talk about whatever. We get y'all. I think this may be it. I think this may be it for tonight. I thought that. I think this may be it for tonight. So yeah. All right, you know what I'm gonna do? We get 5 more minutes. We can get 10 people in 5 more minutes, then we'll go ahead and begin. Otherwise, we won't. But I will. Let me do this. I will go ahead and answer your question though. Is Odinani a form of shamanism like Chinese Taoism? Yeah, you can call it that. Um, the shamanism is in there, right? So when we say Odinani, we're saying like it's a catch-all term for like the thought systems of our ancestors, the thought and practice systems of our ancestors. All of it is encapsulated with that word. And it's somewhat of a modern word because if you would have asked, like, if you ask a 70-year-old man, what's Odinani? He may not have an answer for you. But it's just because some people are Christian now and they say, oh, we don't do all that stuff. We don't believe that stuff, that we don't have a word for all of the thoughts and practices and connections and things, that essence of our ancestors. It's all captured with Odinani. But yeah, it's definitely similar to Taoism. It's definitely like a form of shamanism. Yeah, if you want to put it that way. Definitely, definitely. And the way I'm describing it now was like catch all with all this ancestral thought. I'm sure Taoism combined with Confucianism is that for the Chinese people too. So all right, we have 10 people. Where's my bell? Hey, no bell. He said we've hit 10 people. Let's go ahead and begin, okay? Okike keruwa. Alabuala. Ala nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ. Ala isiri bịa, ala isi elo. Ala na-enye ndụ na-enye nke ọma dị n'ụwa. Ala gọziri nwa, gọziri nwaanyị, gọziri nwoke. Ụmụ gị abịala. Ọkwa obiọma ka anyị jikwere na-ekele gị. Ọkwa obiọma ka anyị jikwere na-ekele ụmụ ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ. Ọkwa obiọma ka anyị ji na-ekele ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ, ndị nta na ndị imo, ndị mbụ na ndị egede. Anyị jikwere ọfọ na ogwu aga. Anyị jikwere ije na ụkwụ aga. Ije anyị na-aga bụ ije Chineke okike kere ụwa, abịama kara ụwa niile kere ka anyị gaa. Otu a ka ọ ga-adị na eke na orie na afọ na nkwọ ise. All right, yeah. So I don't have my bell, and I've I've had 3 situations where I've had to break cola, so we're gonna chill on the cola just today. So we're gonna chill on the cola. Okay, let's see where you guys are at with the questions. So we answered the one about shamanism. Would love an in-depth video on Nemiri. I feel a deep connection to her, and I know that can explore more. It was a while ago when we discussed the experience, but I feel almost like I met her in real life. Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely do that. My next video will pertain to Miri, to water somehow. But I'm not sure how, like, what angle I'm going to approach it. And I think I'm doing a little overthinking. But yeah, there's a video coming up soon, and it is water oriented. It is Nemiri oriented. So maybe a series of videos, like several too. So we'll see. I completely recorded one with all my fancy new technology, and then like now I have to redo it because I'm figuring it out still. But yeah. That's the next topic coming up, Emeka. So Loki, sounds like you are singing when you do your opening prayer. If it sounds like I'm singing, then I'm doing it correctly. So we have an Igbo language. I have an Igbo language school. It's www.kedu.me. And at like level 2, we talk about how when you speak Igbo, you have to sing a little bit, especially when you are representing your ancestors, because our languages, and when I say our languages, most of Black Africa, our languages are sung. You're supposed to sing them. It's just in the modern day that people started just singing it a little bit less than you're supposed to, right? But when you see, anytime you see the ancestors depicted, so when you see like masquerades and things like that, you'll notice that they sing when they speak. This because they're actually speaking the language correctly. You understand? They're speaking at how the original people spoke it, right? But now we say they're tonal, right? They're tonal, but I kind of argue they're not like tonal in the linguistic sense. They're just, you're supposed to sing them, right? So, you know, AAVE is similar, right? AAVE is similar, right? I don't attempt to speak AAVE because I don't have, there's a specific rhythm that I didn't grow up speaking in, right? So I just don't do it. But you can't just say the words. You have to say it with the rhythm. Otherwise, you sound crazy. That's how you know when, like you're online and somebody's doing digital blackface, oh, okay, this person is that kind of thing. Patois is the same, right? Those of you Jamaican, patois is the same. The rhythm matters, right? You can't just say that wagwan, brother. You can't just say it. You got to sing it. So anywhere you see our people, man, it's the same situation, right? It's the same situation. Oh, damn. Are there any mythical creatures in Igbo culture? Oh, damn, are there? Okay, let's go. Are there stories like the Iliad and the Odyssey, like Shango and Ifa? Where can I find the myths? Boma. So there are tons and tons and tons of stories, right? One similar story to maybe if you're asking stories similar to like Shango stories and things like that. Um, check for the story of Ojadili, and I wish that I had this book with me. I have a book of like stories. Let me see if it's around here. I have a book of stories, and they're all pretty good. Igbo stories tend to be concise and short, but there's Oja Adili is told like an epic, right? And Oja Adili is it's told over multiple days, right? But I can kind of give you the gist, right? So in the time of the ancestors, right, there was a great wrestler known as Ojadili, right? He was known as Ojadili because whenever there was an opponent, Onaga Ajamada, right? He doesn't run. He'll never run. You understand? At the same time, his back never touches the ground. You understand? He wrestled every champion that every village had to present. He wrestled leopards. He wrestled elephant. He even wrestled the gorilla itself, the master of wrestling, pinned it to his back. His back never touched the ground. He traveled the entire world from north, south, east, west on Eke, Urie, Afo, Nkwo, and never found an opponent worthy of his skill. Every single time an opponent would grapple with him, after just a little bit, they would hit the ground, right? They would hit the ground over and over and over until Ojadili ran out of opponents. He had no opponents in the world who could match him. He had no opponents in the world who could face him. He had no opponents in the world who were worthy of his prowess as the champion of the universe. And so one day, sitting all alone, Ojadili had an idea. He approached his friend. His friend was a flute player. Not flute. His friend played the Oja. Now, his friend was the opposite of Ojadili. He was nothing like Ojadili, right? Ojadili was strong and he was very frail and weak. Ojadili was a dimpa. You understand? He himself, some days you'd wonder if he was a woman or a man, right? From his build, right? Ojadili was tall, he was short. But one thing they had in common was what they loved, they did very well. Ojadili loved to wrestle, and he wrestled better than anybody in the world. And this man loved, and his friend loved to play the Oja, and he played it better than anybody in the world. Right? Ojadili told him that I have wrestled everybody in the land of the living. I am now ready to wrestle in the land of the dead. His friend gasps. Right? Nobody goes to Alamo and comes back, right? And Ojadili said, but as long as my Ikenga is alive, I can wrestle in the land of spirits. And so they contacted a Dibia and they told the Dibia the plan. The Dibia refused. The Dibia told the people that Ojadili has gone mad. He wants to wrestle in the land of spirits. Ojadili persisted, right? People said, no, please don't do it. His mother said no. His father said no. The elders said no. His sister said no. Ojadili said, no, I must. Hey, what's up, man?
Do you know where the trash bags are?
Yeah, they're under the sink.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. How was school today?
Oh, it was good.
Cool. All right. Ojadili said, no, I must, right? And so finally, everybody's seeing that Ojadili would not give up. The same way he doesn't give up in wrestling. They opened the gate to allow more, and Ojadili entered, right? But before Ojadili fully entered, he told his friend to come with his flutes, with his Oja. Friend swallowed and followed him in. They began to walk through Alamor. Nothing they saw was like the world they came from. They continued and continued and continued until they saw a beast with a single head. He grappled with the beast. The beast grappled with him. They wrestled and they wrestled and wrestled. And after a while, Ojadili slammed him to the ground. Right? Ojadili got up and continued going. Then he saw a beast with two heads. They grappled. They wrestled. Ojadili took him to the ground. Continued to walk. Continued to go. He encountered a beast with three heads. Slammed. A beast with four heads. Slam. A beast with five heads. Until finally Ojadili realized that if any more he's reached his end, that he cannot possibly go beyond five. That if another one came to him, this would be the end of him. He slammed the beast with the five heads. Continued to walk and continued to walk. A beast with six heads arrived. Ojadili let out a sigh. The beast eyed him. It was bigger, stronger, greater, faster, more deadly, more fearsome, more ferocious than anything he had seen before. Ojadili grappled the beast. The beast grappled Ojadili. They wrestled. Ojadili slams the beast to the ground. Nobody could believe it. His friend couldn't believe it. Ojadili couldn't believe it. None of the beasts could believe it. Ojadili got up, dusted himself off, looked in front of him. There was a beast with seven heads. There was a beast with seven heads. There was a beast with seven heads staring at Ojadili. Bigger, more ferocious, more vicious, more undefeatable, more formidable than anything that came before it. Ojadili's spirit was broken. Ojadili knew that this was going to be it. Ojadili knew that he couldn't win. The beast grabbed Ojadili, and for the first time, he didn't feel that power of the Dimba, known as Ojadili. He didn't feel the power of the Odogu, known as Ojadili. He felt someone who was broken and frail. He squeezed Ojadili. Ojadili's life force began to drain from his body. He felt it. And that's when it happened. His friend began to play the Oja. The same Oja that he knew Ojadili loved since childhood. The Oja that made him say, I want you to come with me. The Oja that gave him back his spirit. And as his friend continued to play the spirit, Ojadili began to find his strength again. He began to remember why they called him Ojadili. He grabbed the piece, slammed him to the ground. Ojadili rose up. They looked at each other. They were shocked. And then they looked behind. There was a beast with 8 heads. At this point, they had to get back home. They began to run back to the gate. All of the beasts began to rise. The beast with the single head, the double head, the triple head, the 4 heads, the 5 heads, the 6 heads. All of them were coming out. They were running. His friend jumped through the gate first. Ojadili jumped through the gate, but one of the beasts grabbed him by the back, and its claw scratched a line down his back. But Ojadili made it. They closed the gate to allow more, and everybody was shocked to see that Ojadili had come back. But Ojadili was never the same again, because on his back he had a line going all the way down from that claw. And till this day, human beings are still born with a line down their back because Ojadili went into the land of spirits and came back alive. That is the story of Ojadili. Now, this story is told over multiple days, typically. There are different parts, like all the parts, like the different matches he goes through, they're elaborated on. There's more detail on the friend, and the friend has a sister and all types of things like that. And then there's different versions of the story. But that's one of the stories that's kind of like an epic in Igbo culture. There was another one too. I have a short version of it. It's actually from the book After God is Dibia, about Ahmad Yahya's son, right? It's about Ahmad Yahya's son and how the uncle of Ahmad Yahya, when Ahmad Yahya was a human, Ahmad Yahya died, and the uncle or his brother usurped his throne or stool, as they say in Africa. He usurped the stool and became the ruler of his kingdom. And his son had to go into death, go into the world of the dead to meet his father, and then come back and defeat the uncle and take the stool back. So, but yeah, you're one hell of a storyteller. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. All right, let's go to see. I think I missed a lot of questions in the process of telling this story. All right, where are we at? Okay, John says, I was going to ask 2 questions. How often do you feed your ancestors? And how could one give an offering to their chi? Okay, these are good questions. So, if you are beginning, like if you're starting in your journey of building a relationship with your ancestors, I would strongly advise doing it every morning, right? Doing it every morning. The reason I would advise doing it every morning is just anecdotally, like my own personal experience. What it did for me going every morning was it showed me how to sense my level of spiritual health, right? Because I had multiple days to compare it to. So some days I didn't want to go. Usually those days told me something was wrong, something was off, right? Some days when I went, like when I would pray, it was more rhythmic and it was stronger. Other days I was forgetting words and things like that. So it became a nice way, just on like a personal level, of gauging your own health. And the reason I'm looking at it from this perspective is it's not about, like, there's no like, if you do it this many times, you get more points. If you don't do it that many times, you don't get points, right? But for me, it showed the advantage of doing it more frequently. And then hopefully this story can emphasize choice for you. Because after I got used to it and I understood what I was doing, some days, if I didn't feel like it, I just wouldn't go, right? If I felt like it, I would go. Look at greeting your ancestors as very literally just greeting people that you know, greeting family members, right? I don't call my mom every day, right? I don't. Maybe she's watching. Okay. I don't call my mom every day. I don't call my dad every day. But I definitely try to touch base with them at least once a week, right? With my parents. It's the same thing with ancestors, right? Now, you should naturally want to go visit your altar because it's a sign that you're in good spiritual health. Okay. It's also like a feedback loop where you're in good spiritual health. You have an urge to go do it. You do it and it improves your health, and it just kind of loops and loops and loops and loops and loops, and then you find yourself going every day because you want to, right? You find yourself going every day because you want to. In order for you to be able to understand your chi and your relationship with your chi, you have to find ways to be driven, or not driven, to be guided by what you want to do rather than what you think you have to do, right? Oh, if I go every day, then I'll get more ancestor points. It doesn't work that way, right? So how often is however much you want, but I would advise anybody who's beginning to go every day, and you're going to start seeing some really interesting things about yourself. You had 2 questions. How could one give an offering to their chi? The same way. Okay, it depends the offering, right? You would just simply say, I'm offering you this, I'm giving you this, I want to share this with you, that kind of thing. There's not too much procedure to it, right? I bring you this wine, like with in our traditional medicine class. I was teaching a traditional medicine class today. And I told the class, hey, I'm not going to break cola today because I've had to break cola so many times, and just today, it's kind of ridiculous. If I didn't break cola now, right? And so I used wine. I had some wine, and I said, I told my ancestors, and I told the ancestors that, forgive me, I didn't bring cola. I'm Igbo. Bringing cola is proper. Not everybody's ancestors are Igbo. So I didn't bring cola, but I'm bringing this wine. I hope you accept this in its place. I poured the wine into a cup, and then after the class, I went and poured it outside into the soil, right? So it's just keep it conversational. Keep it conversational, okay? Keep it conversational, and from there you'll be all right. Why are some modern Igbo comfortable disrespecting their ancestors by claiming they are Hebrew Israelites? That nonsense is spreading all over the place. Honestly, here's my thing. I think that if you are a Christian, it's only a matter of time till you start claiming you're actually a Jew, right? Or you're actually an Israelite. Because if you actually read the Bible, it's specifically talking to and about a very specific group of people with no implication that it's for anybody else. With no implication that it's for anybody else, right? And so after a while, well, who am I in this story, right? Who am I in this story? Okay, maybe I come from Shem. Maybe I come from Ham, right? Maybe I come from all these different characters. You understand? Maybe I'm Abraham's. Okay, I'm a descendant of this stupid thing, right? It's just a side effect of being Christian. Everywhere you find Christians, you're gonna find a group of Christians that'll also say, I'm actually the son of Moses, right? Because again, bro, we're not talking to you. This book is about a very specific sliver of land and related lands. Okay. But then the Hebrew thing is particularly annoying in the Igbo context. One, as a side effect of Christianity, and then two, just like because people did such a poor job in the previous generation of teaching history and keeping history alive, people tried to fill the gap of ignorance with what they knew. But if you're in Nigeria, especially 80s and 90s, your relationship with history comes from church. It doesn't come from school, right? School doesn't really teach history. They'll teach you that Mary Celsior saved, or whatever, Celestier saved all the twins. They'll teach you that Mungo Park discovered River Niger, and that they made some arts and crafts in Nook and Benin. And that's really it. And so if your ancestors and your people aren't sitting down talking to you about your real history, you're getting history from the church. So a lot of people in that generation, the Bible is an account of history. It's not like a book, which, a book of, tales, just like I was telling you about Ojadili. It's not like a book of tales like that, right? They actually think that's history. So in thinking that's history, okay, who are we in this history? Oh, well, they circumcised, we circumcised too. Wow, we're the Jews, And who else do you want to be in the, right? I believe they're the main character, right? I believe in the Bible they were cursed and on bullshit and God gave up on them, right? But I believe in the story they're the main character. So it's like using ignorance to fill a gap of ignorance, right? And then because you're trying to soothe your own ego, you're just living in all these fictitious, ridiculous things, right? When your own history is 350 times more interesting than anything you'd read in the Bible, right? Your own is so much more interesting. And so whatever the hell you think is interesting that happened in the Bible, in your very backyard, 300 times more happened in your own backyard, like right where your uncle Nduishi sits, right? But so yeah, that's the issue. I don't think it's spreading now. I think it was bigger in the past, and it's kind of dying down now. Nnamdi Kanu did not help, right? He didn't help either, because he came with, oh, we're the Hebrews, I'm a Jew, and then he didn't help too. And I say this as a person that looks upon him fairly kindly, right? But he didn't help either, because he really popularized his generation's ignorance to a new generation, right? So it's just people filling gaps of ignorance with ignorance. And I made this channel so that hopefully those people can bump into this, and part of the reason why they can bump into this and actually get the history and actually get what's going on, which is way more interesting than that bullshit, right? Way more interesting, right? Everything interesting in history happens in Africa. You know what I'm saying? The Eurasians do a good job of telling you their history. Everything, and trust me, it's that's where it's at. That's where it's at. Now, can you convince some damn Africans that? No. But I know what I know. I'm saying I'm not saying this out of sentiment. I'm not making this channel because I'm trying to big up and I feel good. I'm Igbo. I'm not doing that for that reason. I know why I'm saying what I'm saying. You understand? There are mythical creatures. Are there mythical creatures in Igbo land? Yeah, oh yeah, that was part of the Shango story. Yeah, there's a lot of mythical creatures. So most of the masquerades you're going to see, those are mythical creatures, right? They're the depictions or the actual thing of different spirits and different creatures and things like that. There are, of course, the world famous Obanje, the world famous Amamiwata, right? The world famous. There's a couple of them that are very popular. The vampire kind of creature. I don't know the name of it. I'm not gonna. The algorithm will take me down if I say one, but one of them with a very spiked body part that attacks young women at night. There's a bunch of creatures. There's like but they don't veer too far from what you'd see in real life. I noticed that, right? They're all like, I can see that existing, except some of the masquerade ones, right? Like Mbedike, something like Mbedike. Like if you've seen the movie Black Panther, that mask that he's looking at, that's Mbedike. Also, that Mbedike is also the beast on Beauty and the Beast, right? They're gonna say, "Oh no, we got this from Japan." They're always gonna say it's always Japan or the Native Americans. Yeah, it's always the Native Americans. They're gonna say some bullshit, but it's an Mbedike mask. That's what that is. That's an Mbedike. If you look up Mbedike and then you go look up Beauty and the Beast, it's the same thing. Some of the Mbedike even wore the same jacket, right? So, and this is from the 1700s when they were not 1900s, early 1900s when they were photographed, right? That kind of thing. So yeah. Yo, fam, infinite peace and love. Duran, peace, man, peace. Good seeing you. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Same to you too. Do Igbos have sangomas like the Zulu? Yeah. So the sangomas of Zulu or of Igbo culture are dibias. Ezenwai. Ezenwai is a female dibia, but they now go by dibia too, so it's all good. And then Nze, and Ozo, right? Nze and Ozo. So Dibia is and why Nze Ozo. There's also certain Osu that are the same thing as Sangomas, but generally Dibia is the term. Dibia is the term for the Sangomas in the Igbo culture. We actually have a traditional medicine class for people who are interested in learning the Dibia arts. So if you're interested in that, message me or reach out. Daryl Strawberry. Hi, I just popped in watching Stranger Things. Hey, Phoenix, good seeing you. Good seeing you. That show's still on. This has to be the last season. I have a niece being abused by her boyfriend. Oh, sorry to hear that. It's like she's not there. Is there anything I could do? Anything I can do to pray him away? To pray him away. We're saying pray him away or pry him away. We're saying pray him away or pry him away. A carnation, that's kind of personal. If you want to talk in depth about it, just reach out. But I don't know the situation enough to give you a responsible answer, right? But it does sound like a dangerous situation. And unfortunately, when we run into those, just from personal experience, when you have those situations in your life, especially if it's like like I could imagine with like a sister, you realize that you don't really have say in the situation. And ultimately, the person being victimized has to make a decision, right? And you can take whatever it is that you contribute that allows them to stay where they're in the situation they're in, and that might do something. But I don't know the situation enough to give you responsible advice. So if you want to talk in detail, that'd be cool. But yeah, it is unfortunately one of the things you learn in life is that it is up to her. It's up to her. She would be the one, right? And there's several reasons why people get in those situations and things like that. But it hurts when people make decisions that we don't believe they deserve to, or walk paths we don't believe they deserve to walk. But she's the one walking that path. Okay, so so it's movie night for me. Listen to the story while eating pop. Cool, man. Appreciate that, Rebecca. Hebrews might not be Jews, but the Jews are definitely black. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, too. So the reason they keep saying, like, oh, we're the Jews is because a lot of the traditions that are being described in the Old Testament are loudly African, right? They're not coming out of nowhere with it. A lot of the traditions they're describing in the Old Testament are loudly African. There's a part of the Bible, I can't remember what little excerpt, but it's describing how you put up an altar. And I'll swear right now, it describes an ikenga and where the ikenga should sit and what colors and all this stuff like that. There's stuff in there that's just like it's loudly African. The family staff, where somebody steals somebody's family, that's an awful, right? So I'm trying to remember somebody in our in the village in our Patreon community had brought this up to me. It's talking about this part of the Bible where somebody knows, let me know about they're talking about family staffs, like taking people's family staffs and things like that. That's African as hell. Like it's just like even when you read the Old Testament, it's African as hell. And so you're reading this and you're like, oh, well, right? So those Hebrew people, they're not coming out of nowhere with it, right? They're not coming out of nowhere. It's just a lot of that stuff looks and feels familiar, right? A lot of that stuff, the 8-day circumcision, I don't know, little chicken thing they do. Just a bunch of stuff, things like that. Now, I would say if you look as deeply into any tradition as the Bible allows you to look into the Abrahamic tradition, you'd probably see a lot of overlap as well, like that, right? If you look into Taoism, you're going to see it. If you look into that kind of thing, right? But somebody who has a inkling of familiar with Odinala that reads like this, especially the Old Testament, it's gonna be like, yo, like it's a bit much, it's kind of familiar, that kind of thing. No, I'm in the laundromat. Daryl Strawberry. Where are we at? I remember. So yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, they're definitely like if they were in the U.S., they'd have to mark black in the census box, right? Definitely. I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt that at all. At all. At all. Yeah. I think the whole Middle East, was at a point, most of it, and then except like Persia and places like that, was, I'm in the laundry, man. If it wasn't high altitude, it was probably black people. I remember one day reading the Bible, then I thought, they are not talking about my ancestors. I was reading one day. I was like, they're not talking about my ancestors in the book. Yeah. A lot of familiar stuff, though. A lot of familiar stuff. But you're correct. This is somebody's story about their ancestors, right? And so what a lot of people do is they try to fit themselves in there somewhere. Like, okay, well, that kind of thing, right? But it would be like me writing about my ancestors my specific ancestors, and then you having to just read it and try to understand or grasp spirituality and I don't know, maybe metaphysics from that perspective. Now you're going to gain some things, but that's not yours, right? So in Odinala, we don't ask you to go, oh, Abraham, boo, 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 or talk about my ancestors. It's about talking about your ancestors, right? So go learn the names of your ancestors. Go talk to your chi. Another thing it does, and I think this is just like doctrine later on, is it creates this thing where there's always a buffer between you and your creator, and that is as far from what we understand as possible. There's no separation, there's no buffer whatsoever, right? It's one and the same. It's one and the same. You have a direct communication line, it has a direct communication line to you. There's no buffer, right? I had Igbo classmates that told me that the word Igbo came from the word Hebrew. Yeah. It's common. It's stupid. Yeah. I don't I don't want to dismiss what he said, but I was like, yeah, no, it's ridiculous. It's not. It's fake. You know. But people will say that. Trust me, we're dealing with this heavy. We're dealing with it. That's like our version of the pretendians. You know, it's like our version of the pretendians. And one of the things that makes both of those things so strong is one ignorant grandmother or one ignorant granduncle had told them that this was true. So now there's an ilu that says what a child receives from their ancestors, they take with two hands, right? So since one of your elders said this nonsense to you, put it in your ear when you were 6 years old, it's very hard to let go. But yeah, the ignorance of the previous post-war generation trying to make sense of their history instead of just turning around and asking their parents, oftentimes feeling superior to their parents because they have education, um, started just making up a bunch of nonsense. And oh, they're the Hebrews, and Igbo means Hebrew, and we circumcise, they circumcise, even though all of Africa circumcises. And there's what's the other one they always do? Oh, they try to make fake connections between the language, right? What do you do? There's a thing about ignorance too. There's a way that it has been fascinating me over the past 2 years that ignorance spreads really fast, right? Like I've sat there and watched situations where like I know a lot about, and I've watched just the pace that the actual story and some BS spreads. The BS always wins, and it's always spread so fast that you spend the entire conversation just debunking instead of talking about what's actually happening. No, that's not real. No, that's not real. No, that's not real. Right? You spend the entire conversation debunking because how fast the ignorance can spread. Ignorance spreads so fast, or like the false story spreads so fast. So if somebody says something ridiculous, like, oh, they're the Hebrews, and somebody actually does research and figures out what it is, or that kind of thing, that Hebrew thing's gonna spread way faster. It's just what it is, right? It's just what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I see it happen all the time, all the time. It's something that really fascinates me because again, there's some subjects where like they're so niche that like I get the sense that I'm probably the one of 500 people in the whole world that even are looking at this thing, and then it starts spreading. But then like you just watch the false narrative go so much faster and further. I don't get it, and it's not like one's harder to understand than the other. They're both stories, so you know once they get rid of the Hebrew thing, they'll come up with something else too, So, it's whatever. I have the book After God is DBF Volume 1 and 2. What would be your top book to get to understand Odinala better? Outside of Leopards and the Magic Dawns. Okay, good question. So in the live, okay, so if you're on Patreon, which you are, when you go to the library, I have a folder called Recommended, right? Those are the digitally available books and things that I would recommend. All of those are in there, right? My absolute favorite book at the moment is Healing Insanity by Dr. Patrick Iroebu. That is the absolute favorite of mine right now, right? Healing Insanity. It's on Amazon. Those people need to send me royalties. I promise I'm the source of like 80% of their sales. But I called them to talk to them, and some sassy Indian picked up the phone, and it didn't work out. But Healing Insanity by Patrick Iroebu is one. Is currently my number one. There's another book on, and then After God is Dibia is up there. It's probably in. Let me do a power ranking. Okay, Healing Insanity is number one. That's for me right now, right? But Healing Insanity, I feel that it's not a beginning book. You don't start with Healing Insanity. Okay, you don't start with Healing Insanity. If you, I'm saying too much. Okay, let me give you like my starter list, right? This is like if you're just learning about Odinala, you're starting, you're not like, you haven't been talking about this on YouTube for like 5-6 years, right? Just to start, the towards an Igbo metaphysics is really good. It's really good. Odinani, spelled with an N, I believe. The Igbo religion is also super good, right? I wouldn't even recommend Leopards of the Magic Dawn as a beginning book. It's super dense. It's very, very dense. Okay. I think I have it here. Here. This book is up there too. Agun in Igbo land, a philosophical concept. It is very up there. This is especially for people that are interested in Agun because he goes into perspectives on Agun that I haven't even discussed on this channel, but it's an easy read. It's a pretty easy read. Now, if you've passed that level and you're ready to go deep, right? Healing Insanity, Leopards of the Magic Dawn, After God is Dibia. I want to say volume 2. I'm still setting up my office, and so everything is all over the place. I'm looking for the book. Where is it? After God is Dibia, volume 2 specifically. And then let me look up the name. Why am I blurry? Stay still. I'm still blurry. Oh, there's whatever. I look like I'm snitching on a documentary. Water. Let me find a name book. It's not Obuide. Okay, and then I'm putting up there the water goddess in Igbo cosmology, Obuide of Oguta Lake. This is written by a Dutch or Belgian woman. I can't remember who it is. She went to Oguta, which is close to where I'm from, and she studied in Nemi there, who is Obuide, the lake there, and so forth. So those are some books that I would recommend. But right now, my absolute favorite is Healing Insanity by Patrick Iroebu. Healing Insanity, got it. Cool. Peace, God. Yo, peace, God. What you think about Jupiter being sacrificed on a killing tree in Dogon mythology? Yeah. That's what they're talking about when yeah, that's real. All I can say is that's real. You know, that's what they're talking about in all these mythologies with this sacrificed savior and that kind of thing. They're talking about Jupiter being sacrificed, right? Now, I didn't know about the tree. Let me see what the significance of the tree is. I'm glad you brought up the tree. Let me see that. Dogon. Oh, no. Let me type in. Chilean tree. But yeah, I mean, give me more details on it though. Give me more details. What do you know? Because this is the first you're telling me of the Dogon account of this. But what they're talking about is a pattern of movement in one of the patterns of movement that form existence. So you see that pattern being described in different cultures in different ways. where a savior, or let me put it this way, not a savior, but the son, a son is, you know, unalived, as the internet wants you to say, in some type of ritual, usually involving a tree. Odin, I think the same thing too. Jupiter, a whole bunch of them, right? A whole bunch of them are killed in trees. Or oh, I said it. I said it anyway. So I guess we're the R-rated book, the Apple book. Bet. God, does DB read? Are the Huguenots associated with Igbo? Or is that in it like Namibia? Is that in Namibia? The Huguenots are a French, yeah, that's what I thought. So the Huguenots are like a French group. So no, do you mean like Hottentot? Do you mean Hottentot? Hottentot is an old term for, probably derogatory, but an old term for Khoisan people. And are they associated with Igbo people? I don't think so. No, I don't think they are. Some people have Khoisan DNA, you know. A lot of people on my mom's side have their face, so they have a very specific face, like Usher, you know. A lot of people on my mom's side look like Usher, and my son's got hair like them, so I wouldn't be surprised if I have Khoisan DNA. But to my knowledge, there's no known association between the two groups. We're closer to the Bantu groups in those areas than them. Yeah, they're usually somewhere in South Africa. I think you mean Huguenot is like a French group of people. I don't know what they did. Something in like the Age of Enlightenment. And then Hottentot, maybe that's what you mean. Are they like the Bushmen? Is that what you're talking about? Beautiful. Right, yeah, Igbos are innovative, resourceful, excel in everything they do is beautiful. Yes, very proud of that. What do you believe are the core pillars and concepts in Odinala that build Igbo culture? The core, okay, the core. The core. Wow. The question's so simple that it's now complex. Complex. What are the core principles that build the culture? I think the emphasis on the individual's path, about each person's path in life, the emphasis in the direct relationship with your chi, right? The direct relationship with your chi, the fact that your chi has already paved the road for you, and just go ahead and go. I think that gives people a lot of extra supernatural belief in what they can do and who they are. And then a lot of like the and then what's this called? Equality, right? There's a huge emphasis on equality, not perfectly executed, but it's emphasized that if there's a situation where equality can be achieved, then that's what we go for. But it's not equality in the sense that everybody has the same and does the whatever. It's equality that in the sense that the world is big enough for absolutely everybody. That's one thing I like about the mentality in Igbo culture. The world is big enough for absolutely everybody to have everything they need and be who they are. And in fact, it is part of the creator's design to assure that we all have what we need and are all who we are supposed to be and so forth, right? If we all play our square, there's more than enough for all of us, right? This is a scientific fact, right? You can fit the entire human race in the state of Texas, is what they say, right? But we're fighting for land, we're fighting for resources, we're acting like we fight like things are scarce. We behave like things are scarce. We get jealous of each other. Oh, this person has success. Well, I don't have. There's enough success for there's enough success for everybody. When there was 500 people in the world, somebody was jealous that the other guy had more land than him, right? Somebody was like, "Oh, why does he have 7 trees on his land? I only got 2 trees." You know, this is when there was 500 people on Earth, right? So, there's things within Odinala that kind of check and balance that natural human instinct to think scarce and to be scared and that kind of thing. So those are some things that I think are core. But everybody's gonna have a different answer, you know. Yes, Usher is your cousin. I must. I don't think I look like Usher. What the hell? I don't think I look like Usher, but people on my mom's side of the family they do though. It's really funny, you know. I don't know if you've heard of P Square, but Google P Square. They look like him too. So they look like people on my mom's side, you know. And so yeah, I think it's a Bushman. Yeah, okay, so yeah, Hottentot. Yeah, they go by Koi Sam, but it's all good. And I don't, I don't. There's no strong connection to them that I'm aware of. Right? There's no strong connection to them. They're very popular in America. I've noticed there's not that many of them, but they're super popular. Like you would think they're half of Africa with how many times they get brought up here. You know. Oh, I mean to say, if there was ever the degrees of separation are very, very far between us and them genetically. But some people have Khoisan shows up in their DNA tests. So something happened there, right? Core concepts that build reality sagas, why we do so well. Okay. Yeah, I think it's the same thing. I think it's the whole thought scope of Odinala, right? I think it's the whole thing, but is I think this concept of a person and their chi is core, right? Because fundamentally, too, you have to also remember that if you're messing up, right? If you're falling short, is because your chi is short, right? It's because your chi. If you're weak, it's because your chi is weak, and nobody wants to walk into a room and say my chi is the weak one, or my chi is weak, or my chi is small, or my chi is poor. So people go, as the Americans say, balls to the wall, right? As the white ones say, balls to the wall to make sure that they get to where they want to get to in life and that kind of thing. But then there's also the understanding that success is not, again, the equilibrium thing, right? If one person has success and they die with it, they weren't really successful, right? Success is based on how many boats the tide rises. So you're now going back to the town and you're pulling other people up, right? Okay, you're gonna be the princess for me, woo, 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 all these different things, right? And then from there, right? Because because of that, it's like, okay, we don't have a hospital. Nobody's gonna say I can't build a hospital, right? Again, you're the direct representative of your God. Your God can't build a damn hospital, right? So that's the mentality, right? Now, sometimes it gets focused on some BS like flexing on people, flexing on each other and all that nonsense. But often it gets focused on shit that makes sense, and when it does, it happens. It goes well. So I think that's part of it, right? I think that's a part of it, but there's a lot more. There's a lot more to it. I don't know. Mirror divination, I'm thinking on that. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It is, John. Yeah, it is. Yeah. We John, I think yeah, you were in the Alpha. We had an Alpha boot camp. I think we were there. I hope I brought that up anyway. Because I was supposed to. I was supposed to bring up mirror divination. So, but yeah, mirror divination is definitely a thing, as far as Odinani goes. Yeah. Mirrors are also, you see mirrors in shrines for Allah and shrines for Anyanwu as well. Oh, and Nemir holds a mirror. Right? Nemir holds a mirror. I think it was vaguely mentioned. Yep, you're correct. Yeah, it was vaguely mentioned. Yeah, but it is a thing. It is a thing. Y'all, do we have any more questions? Hold on. What are we looking like on questions? Don't mind the watering eyes. It's been a good discussion, guys. I think we're gonna hop then. So this has been a good discussion. Um, get on Patreon. Get on the Patreon. Join the Patreon community at patreon.com/the medicine show. Perfect place to continue your learning, continue this discussion. A lot of exclusives on there. So I just uploaded their group study from this weekend. We talked about the concept of Elo, the concept of reincarnation, right? Now, with the group studies, because we have all these different thinkers from these different places and different perspectives, the conversation went to all kinds of really interesting places. But fundamentally, we're talking about Elo, reincarnation, and from the lens of like on a cosmic level, but also on a personal level, right? On a personal level, how do you return from death on a personal level? How does a relationship return from death on a personal level? One of the conclusions we reached was you have to remember the why, right? So there's a reason we got there, right? There's a reason we got there. But it's on Patreon right now. There's a bunch of exclusive videos on there and stuff from the discussions. I have mostly Ishan DNA. How would the French be associated with them? Do you mean the Hottentot? Okay, let me explain something. So I think earlier we were talking about the Hottentot, right? Hottentot is an old European term for Khoisan people, and it's derogatory, right? It's a derogatory term for Khoisan people. And so they don't use the term Hottentot anymore, and it's all good. I used to use it before I knew what was up. I used to use Sans is also a derogatory one, but the people you're talking about are Khoisan people. Khoisan people are mostly in the deserts, in the desert areas of southern Africa, right? And they stay in that area. They are hunter gatherers and they're semi nomadic, so they move around. Isam people are settled people. They have been where they're at for millennia, for tens and thousands of years, right? Isam people are neighbors with Igbo people. Culturally, a lot of overlap, right? You have to be, with the way Nigeria works, you have to be careful to say we're similar because somebody will come and say some nonsense, right? But damn near the same thing, right? Isan is like there's Bini, which is a big culture. There's Igbo, there's a big culture, and Isan is in the middle of the two of them. So it's kind of has a blend of those two, but then its core is its own unique elements, right? So if you have a lot of Ishan, why can't I talk? If you have a lot of Ishan, there's this masquerade you really need to check out, right? There's a masquerade you need to check out. Let me type it. Ishan masquerade. I need you to check this out. I need to find the name. There we go. I can't say it, but the word Iba is the first word in it, and Iba is to dance or to play in Igbo. So Iba. Google that masquerade if you have Ishan in your DNA. This got to be the crazy. It is top 2 masquerades in Africa, right? Top 2. You understand? Just Google that one. My friend's dad used to do that. He became an eccentric millionaire. He used to collect monkeys and try to start his own airline, but he's a character. But my friend's dad used to dance it, and it looks a lot like breakdancing, right? You'll notice the overlap with breakdancing, but there's no real relationship between Shan people and Khoisan Khoisan people, right? There's no real relationship there. It's not strong. Okay. Isaiah says, can you answer my question from earlier? Isaiah, can you ask it again? I must have missed it. Okay, I thought. Can you ask it again? I must have missed it. The one where they look like they're breakdancing. Yeah. And they start like, yeah, this shit's crazy. I wish I could have a little screen where we can like watch things together here. I'll figure out how to do that. If anybody knows how, message me. Now, earlier I said I was about to leave, so we're going to continue with the process of leaving. So, yeah, I want to see you guys on Patreon. Hoop Daddy, I want to see you on Patreon. Who else? I think most of everybody I'm seeing here is already there. John is in the gang. Phoenix is in the gang. Who else? Who else? Who else? Prunette. Prunette, I want to see you. I don't think you're there. Let me know if Duran is definitely part of the village. So yeah, those of you who are not in the village, get in the village. Yeah, StreamYard, it probably makes sense. All right, Udo, as always, uno gade, uno geto. Nkọbụla unu tiri aka ọ ga-adị n'ụwa ga-adị otu a na-eke n'orie na afọ na nkwọ ise. All right, take care, guys.